Did you see something that says we're recording?
hmm
Hey, hey, Jan.
Hey, Ern.
I was trying to think when was the last time I saw you. It's been some months, I know that.
Yeah.
Maybe the spring.
Wow, that I didn't.
It
I
just
guess.
flies.
Yeah.
I think the older you get, time just moves faster.
Yeah. I was actually just as I was doing my journal today, and it's like December the 1st.
Yeah,
I'm like, we're the first day of the last month of the year. Where did that time go?
I don't know, but in a way it's moving fast, in a way it's not moving fast enough.
Yeah. Well,
Uh,
yeah.
Anyway, what does your name mean today?
So I put intentional 2025. And that's just for me because I really want to be more intentional about the things that I do for myself. I think I spend a lot of time making sure that everybody else is okay or I'm doing the right thing. And then we talk about our subject today, I think it kind of aligns with that. So just being intentional.
Okay. I always think that you're more purposeful than I am. Um, 'Cause I'm trying to make it out of 2024. I'm not worried about 55. And I was in this meeting once, and it was just two of us in the meeting, and they wanted some stuff, and I was like, okay, what you got? What's going on? Because my time is precious, I don't really want to waste it with small talk, especially with people I don't know. Um, and she's like, well, let's take a moment to think of what we're grateful for. I want to say I'll be grateful if I can get off this call because I don't have time. You do that in your spare time. That's not my time. So for me, I just went with the old EB. Um, I haven't, I was gonna say I haven't been EB in a long time, but there are, of course, anyone I went to college with still calls me EB. And there's the rare person who calls me EB in California. But what I was gonna mention was that, as we're talking about aging and work, and we're a year older than the last time we did this.
We
Uh,
are.
and I work at this job where there are people who insist on calling me Ernest, even though I've told them 50 bazillion times, don't call me that. Here's what you can call me. Um, so now I'm thinking,
Yeah, I see that as disrespectful.
yeah,
Like if I'm intentionally telling you this is my preferred name, and I don't know if you've seen I've seen it like as far as your or even applications for different things or whatever. Like what is your preferred name as
right.
opposed to like so if I'm saying that this is my preferred name and you choose to not call me that, that's disrespect.
That absolutely. Not to mention, one of the reasons that I don't like Ernest, I've never liked Ernest, other than it being a really old name, is that no one spells my name correctly.
Oh yeah.
And that's annoying. Like if I send an email with my name on it and you respond with my name spelled incorrectly, we have some problems. Like I'm thinking you can't read,
Or you're just disrespectful. You're going to do what you want to do.
but
Like,
when I don't respond or I don't like, well, you weren't talking to me because that's not my name. That's not my preferred name. That's not the name on my birth certificate. It's nothing. So who are you
yeah,
talking? So, and I think about these things more because I'm older. And, some of these people are really young. in their youngness. And I'm like, first of all, you shouldn't be calling me anything but, you know, Mr. Doctor,
Mr. Doctor, yeah.
something.
Yeah.
That
I agree with that. I often, especially like when you're calling in to customer service at different places, and they're like, "Well, hello, Janice." I'm like, "Do I know you?"
right. Like you don't know me.
Like, I miss. I'm sorry. Do I know you?
And you know what's funny is when I was a classroom teacher, I always called my parents by Mr. or Mrs. or Miss,
Right.
whatever. Always. And some teachers did not, but I always made sure that I did because that was important, at least as far as I was concerned, that I respect them in that way, right? So just to have that kind of disrespect at this age is crazy to me.
Yeah.
But then when I don't, respond to you, now I'm wrong. I've done something wrong. And I'm just way too old to be pretending that I like people. I'm just way too old for that. That's something you do in your 20s and 30s, maybe your 40s. But at this point, do we really have to go through this every day? So, and part of that made me kind of start thinking about the path that I had taken to get here. And so kind of what I was thinking about was, yesterday,
Mhm.
I, or maybe last week, because I was on vacation, I had time to think. Just realized the pathway I could have taken after undergraduate. Like, oh, that's what I was supposed to be doing. Because I wanted to be a writer. I'm a writer by trade. And what's weird is that nobody mentioned anything to me. No one said, well, you should do this. You should get a master's degree in this, or you should try this, or this should be your next step. No one said anything in the entire university that we went to, whether they were people we knew, people, professors, advisors, no one said a word, not a single word. So sometimes now that I get there, I donated to during the pandemic to our university,
Okay.
and they don't leave you alone. Now I think I'm going to write a letter and say, you know what? I think I was poorly advised because maybe I could have had an entirely different life. Don't get me wrong, the life I have is wonderful. It's
Well,
ex-
that's what I was kind of wondering. Like,
it's
what are you saying?
well, it's the best life I could have had, but it's not necessarily the life that I dreamed about. And I even thought about going back to school and getting that master's degree in fine arts.
Oh, okay.
Um, I don't know if I missed the deadline yet, but I'm really thinking about it. I'm really thinking about going back to school.
So, do you think you want to get a master's degree, or can you do like some targeted workshops or something like that? Or,
Those are some good questions that I don't really have an answer to.
I
I
mean, because
probably I don't want to do screenwriting or anything like that, which is what you mostly see here, you know.
Mhm.
Um, but I am considering like maybe I can go back. I now know that a master's degree in fine arts allows you to be a professor in the fine arts. So I could have taught creative writing, where we went to school.
Mhm.
Now, I did not know that until, last week or maybe, a few weeks ago. I didn't know the things that I could have done because I really didn't have any direction.
Well, so let me, and I mean, I hear what you're saying, but I guess I wonder at the point that we were in college, in the early 80s, specifically for Black folks. you
That
know,
was
we
a
were,
long time ago.
it is. But you brought it up.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, but I mean, I guess I was just thinking, like many of us were either, I mean, there were some third generation college students, but for the most part, people were either first or second generation college students.
yeah.
Um, so in the 80s, like we still had a mindset of you get a good job, you get money, be able to take care of yourself, take care of your family. And the goal was on the education, not so much the vocation, like what are you going to do after that? People I remember in the 80s, because not that everybody doesn't love teaching that teaches, but I know like because like you would hear different things like you need to go into this field because there's they're doing a lot. I mean, I know that that's why initially I was a business major. Oh yeah, you just need to go into business because when you're gonna do that and yeah, so but nobody really talked to you about um kind of like what was your niche, so to speak, or what did your heart tell you you should be? Like, we didn't have those kind of things. It was just like get a job. Now, I mean, it I mean, it probably was like 10 years in, maybe a little after or before then, where you start really talking about like what does a career in this field looks like,
Mhm.
and then what the possibilities are. I mean, I think about like for me, before we even get to college, though, like I was really good in math and science, specifically math and chemistry. Nobody, like now we have STEM programs and
Right.
things like that, but nobody ever talked to me about the fact like this might be a path that you could possibly take because you seem naturally, good at it. No, I mean, but I played the what if kind of things myself, but I think I still will end up here. Like one of the reasons why I, came out of corporate into a social work area is because I felt like deep down I wanted to help people. And that doesn't mean like, when I was, doing like customer service and all of that in the automotive industry, a lot of those people felt like they were clearly helping, people in the work that they
Mhm.
were doing because they were passionate about it. I realized like I'm not passionate about this at all. Like I'm just trying to figure out like why this person is upset about a $5 tool on a $40,000 car. Like I just don't understand. I don't understand. So, so I try not, for me, I try not to play the what if game. I just feel like my life is kind of like, I look at it more like a GPS,
Mhm.
like, and if I somehow got off track, there was something that rerouted me to get back on track to where I was supposed to be. So I ultimately am, where I'm supposed to be. Would I have liked to have gotten here faster? Absolutely. I mean, and just the
Um,
different things. But I think some of it is lack of own choices. Some of it is just, destiny. And so as you talked about me being more purposeful, so it's, it was the purpose. It served its purpose.
I thought about the, trajectory and, where you still end up in the same place. So I would hope that I would end up in the same place, probably with other experiences though that got me here, but it would be like the same kind of place. Um, and now that we're older and you get to look back, um, do you think about what those what ifs meant or how they shaped your life or, you know, what do you do with that information, if anything at all? Sometimes we do nothing with that. Like, oh, if I would have done that, I'd have been in a world of trouble. I think
I
we mostly focus on the what ifs that um, turned out bad, would have turned out badly instead of the what ifs that would have turned out better.
Right. Yeah, that's true. That's true. But I do believe that everything it works out the way that it should, you know. It might take you a little bit longer, or not you were supposed to meet that for whatever reason you never met, and then 10 years later you end up in the room with that person. So I mean I just I think that things happen the way that they need to.
And speaking of that, as we are getting older and as we are, I guess, preparing for whatever comes next, I'm preparing for retirement. I really, really still want to retire. The last time we did one of these, I wanted to retire. And
Right.
that hasn't changed at all. Um, how do you feel as you're starting to get older? How does your body feel? How does your mind feel? Do you see yourself in that older type of position, that role? What I didn't want to be, we all know this man. He's at the club. He has on his favorite, whatever he thought was fly when he was about 35 or 40. There may be some women like this too. And they're still there. They're at the club. You're like, why are you here? Um,
Well, that person isn't just at the club. I mean, I think we see, some people like that, like they're unrelenting um to kind of lean into the natural aging process. Now, I mean, I do know that it's harder for some than others, but so then when you start talking about like how do I feel inside, my spirit feels like I'm still like a young person.
mhm.
I mean, honestly, like my spirit feels like I can jump up and down and dance and all the things that I used to do, but my body doesn't agree,
Yeah.
with that all the time. And, because I also have had some health issues, I really have had to spend some time just kind of giving myself more grace,
Mhm.
because my body is still recuperating, um, from, the not even the cancer, it's the treatment of cancer. Like it's still recuperating from all of that. But with that being said, I mean, I think that some of it has to do with your own mindset as well. Like I have never been one that shied away from, getting older. This isn't what I thought it was going to look like at this point, but I do kind of, um, well, health issues aside, I thought I was going to be like one of those old ladies that you can see, um, that started bodybuilding
Uh,
at 40 and now they're all buff and stuff like that. And, just those kind of things. I mean, just kind of,
well, why
healthy,
didn't
healthy,
you?
healthy. Uh,
Why didn't you start bodybuilding at 40?
well, honestly, probably because I was busy working. And so that became my thing, you know, I can't do this because I'm working. I'm working all these hours. I'm so tired. I'm this, that, and the other. And I mean, not that I didn't try to do some things. Like at one point, I had started running, and I was really excited about the fact that I had started running. And then, the cancer diagnosis came, and so that shifted, and I haven't come back to that. Although I am planning on coming back to that in a different kind of way. It probably won't be the running, it won't be the bodybuilding, but it is going to be something that keeps, me because I'm still working out, just not at the level that I would like to. I mean, that was one of the things too. Um, as I was coming out of treatment, my doctor, I was like, I can't do this, I can't do that. She was like, you had like 2 years worth of treatment. Like, you got to give yourself grace. So I'm learning to give myself grace, you know.
Okay. Work out. I've worked out for decades at this point, but there are some things I can't do like I used to. And like I used to be able to lift this amount. I used to be able to do. I just let it go. It's nothing I can do about. I guess I could train my body to do it again, but I also have to remember when I was lifting very heavy, I was always injured. And I'm
Mhm,
not a professional athlete. You
mhm.
know, I don't have a medical team. I don't
Right.
have a physical therapist team, and I still got to go to work the next day. Nobody's like, oh, give your body time to heal before you come back in.
You're
They're
right.
like, you gotta be in here.
Right.
So I've enjoyed working out and eating the way I eat. I think, I look at different people, my age and older, sometimes younger, and you just look at how they move or can't move, things that they can't do. So how has eating healthier changed your life? I know you went through a metamorphosis when you became a vegan. So how has that changed really how you feel?
Honestly, I mean, the change in diet definitely, overall, um, has been kind of a plus. How I felt initially, because I'm going on 7 years now. So how I felt initially was
Oh,
like,
of being a vegan?
hmm
Been that long?
yeah,
Wow.
yeah. I mean, how I felt initially was, I mean, I felt great. It was a little bit harder. Back then they didn't have all the products and stuff that they do now. And, the thing about being a vegan is people feel like, oh, well, here's a salad. I'm like, well,
Yeah.
like we do eat other things.
Yeah,
And that salad has cheese and eggs in it. Like that just totally defeats the whole purpose of what I'm trying to do. And because I like to eat, hot food. I'm not a raw vegan. We're gonna cook those mushrooms, we're gonna cook those vegetables. I will eat a salad. That's like not my go-to. Unless I'm at, of course, an event where, you
that's
know,
all they have.
that's all they have. And again, it depends on if they put the cheese and the eggs on it, which most people do. So, but honestly, I feel really good. I think that it definitely helped with my prognosis. That was one of the things that the doctors talked about a lot is that because I was fit, because I did eat well, like I came out possibly differently
Mhm.
than um, other peers at that same age, dealing with that. I mean, I definitely can feel the difference, um, all the time. And even now, like if I'm doing too much processed food, like I can tell.
Mhm.
So I'm like, okay, I need to pull back, and eat really whole foods or whatever. I mean, our bodies are really created to tell us what's wrong, and what they need or whatever. And so just I think being a vegan or just wanting to have a healthier lifestyle, I just try to lean into what my body is saying, I need to do. I need more rest than I did probably a decade ago. And so just even with that, like today, like yesterday, I spent a lot of time with our mother, like almost all day. And, by the time I laid down, I could feel my body like stiffening up because we were walking around doing different
Oh,
things, like we were doing a whole bunch of stuff that I don't normally do all at one time. Um, and so this morning I was intent, like I did work out, because I'm trying to work out every day. but I didn't work out as intensely as I normally would. So so as far as when you talk about aging, so that's been the thing for me is like not necessarily changing what I do, but modifying how that comes about.
Yeah. And I think there are some people who do nothing,
That's true.
and there's some who do everything.
Yeah,
So I guess to have that somewhere in between where you feel comfortable, where you can still move and
yeah.
get up out the bed in the morning and you feel pretty good about it. Um, what do you think? Now, this is a big one, I think, for people our age. A lot of people talk about aging and what aging's going to do and what you might not be able to do and what you can do now. What are your thoughts on, I want to say cosmetic surgery, but altering your looks? For example, I know a lot of people, a lot of gentlemen who dye their
Yeah,
beard.
mhm.
I think the hair plugs are a thing now. Like, where you get all that hair? You know, like, how's this working for you? And they're just like, oh, nobody ever says, I got hair plugs or I'm dyeing my beard, but, I have eyes so I can see that you've done something. But what are your thoughts on that?
I would think that people should do honestly what makes them feel good as long as my personal thing is like as long as you're not doing it out of like I need to do this so that I can, feel, so I can be appreciated by others. Like if you're doing it to
Oh,
satisfy your own self, I mean, like I'm not big on the surgeries and stuff like that. But like, I have my eyebrows done, like microbladed, and
mhm.
people are always like, your eyebrows are on fleek. I'm like, yes, they are. Yes, they are. But that was a decision that I made for myself because, as I was getting older, I was losing more and more of my eyebrows.
Oh,
Um, so yeah, it's a process. So I would never tell somebody like you shouldn't do what's going to make you happy. I think you have to evaluate though, why is that going to make you happy? You know what I'm saying? Like if it's something like if you have a problem with how you look and you're changing how you look. Like just recently I saw this well-known actor and of course, everybody, on Facebook, it was a while ago because I haven't been on social media lately, but they were showing like the 10 years ago version of the person and the person now. You would not think it's the same person. So
oh.
so for me, I feel like if you're making that drastic of change where you don't even look the same anymore, we probably need to deal with some other things besides, how you appear physically. But yeah, I mean, to each his own. I mean, doesn't mean that, I'm not going to laugh at the 70-year-old with a really black beard. I'm just saying that's just funny. That's just funny. I'm like, the beard is darker now than it was 20 years
Right.
ago. I'm
You're
trying to
like,
understand.
I saw, I don't know if you watch any basketball, but Jalen Rose was on uh, TNT inside the NBA.
Mhm.
And he had a video of him getting ready for that. And in
Okay.
that video, it's him getting his hair dyed, getting his beard dyed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he was like, because you won't catch me with any grays. And that was his process. So clearly he's a young looking gentleman anyway.
Anyway, yeah.
But I guess that's just one of the things that he does. So I do understand, having your own personal feeling about how you want to feel about how you look. I grew up a really skinny kid. Probably I should have taken a little bit more, um, a better look at myself now that I realize, yeah, I was thin, but I had like an eight pack. Things that people think are important today,
Hmm.
I had then. I had this gap, which I had filled in, or I can't remember what process I used. Um, I still don't know, when it came out, but I'm sure it had to have come out at some point. So much so that my dentist now says, "Hey, I can tell you had, something there. Do you want to get, what's the thing everybody gets now with the teeth? Um, you know what it is. It makes your smile. Everybody,
Veneers,
veneers.
veneers,
Yeah,
not veneers, huh? Veneers.
yeah, veneers. So he was like, "Do you want to, we can do them, and it costs this much, and blah blah blah." Like, I don't want to do that. Well, I don't feel like it. I don't feel like the process of it. I'm not on TV. I don't live in Hollywood. Why do I got to do all that? Just to, go sit at my cubicle.
Yeah.
But I do see a lot of people do it. But also back to what you said, it probably makes them feel good. It
Hmm.
makes them feel like, it makes them just feel good. And I guess I'm all down for people feeling good as well. But I will also laugh at the 68-year-old woman with the 12-year-old's dress on. Like, what? Ma'am, do you need to have that on? I understand feeling like you want to feel. I also think it's something about aging gracefully that makes you very attractive to people.
Yeah.
Just
I mean, my feeling is it is, I mean, it is what it is, so to speak. Like I am getting older. Um, as you were talking about, being so skinny, I remember, those days where, people, oh my God, you're so skinny. First of all, I think the reason that it was so troubling back then is because that wasn't being said as a compliment,
no,
you
it wasn't.
know. No, and just like you, like I've looked at, pictures from, my late teens, early 20s when people were saying I was so skinny. And I was like, I was kind of shapely back then. Like I mean, you don't even really see it because you
Yeah,
have so many people, in your ear defining, you know, like basically there's something wrong with you because you're
right.
so thin. Um, and so that's why I think now, and probably it is the age where I just lean into like this is what it is right now. If there's some things that I want to change, I'm going to change it by mostly, how I eat, how, what I'm drinking, what I'm putting in my body, making sure that I'm getting regular exercise. But I don't feel the need to appeal to what other people feel like I should look like, hence the bald head, you
The,
know.
yeah, the beauty of getting older for me is that you don't care what people, whatever, dude. I gotta, you know, I've lived a whole lifetime, maybe two. But, so at least let me, you know, wear this or do that and not have to ask permission from some random person who I don't know and will never see again, or even anybody at work. So, there's a big thing, I don't wear, I dislike wearing dress shoes. So it's the whole thing. So I'll wear a suit, but I'll have on some sneakers, which I know in the organization I belong to, they are just appalled. Like, you can't wear that here. Well, actually, I can. I can wear whatever I want to wear. If you're saying I can't come in, that's another thing. Then I won't come in. So I understand dress codes.
Mhm.
if that's your dress code, that's fine with me. But I feel that I should, just like, looking however you want to look, I should be able to dress how it makes me feel good. Now back to the 68-year-old woman and the 12-year-old dress. If that's what makes her feel good, then she should go for it. Also, I'm still gonna laugh though. But, she shouldn't care that I'm laughing, I
And
guess.
and actually, that's what I was going to say. Like even for those, the people that if you dye your hair or you get plastic surgery or whatever you're doing,
What if you're
you
putting your
know,
age down? I know
like
how
what,
old you are. Why
like
you
what
telling me you born 10 years after you really were?
Yeah, see that to me is more problematic. I mean, if I'm that 68-year-old woman, 58, whatever, and I want to dye my hair, if I want to wear still the mini skirts because I got the body, and even if I don't, if it makes me feel good, have at it. You know, we were kind of when we were kind of prepped and talking about this, I thought about like back in the day, I used to like to wear um bold lipstick,
Who?
bold
Oh,
colors,
bold. Okay.
bold colored lipsticks. And I probably stopped because I people kept telling me, well, for your skin color, you that doesn't really go with your skin color. And
And
now,
it's because they had that on an episode of Blackish that I just saw recently, where
what say that again?
it was on an episode of Blackish where the
Oh,
dark-skinned daughter wanted like some red lipstick, and they were like, "Well, that's not a color for us because the lipstick counter person was also dark." And
mhm.
she's like, "But I like it." So,
Yeah, so I mean, so although I'm not wearing a bold color right now, but but as I've gotten older, I lean into that because yeah, I'm like, I could have been the lip bar girl. Like if I could have been the one, because that was that whole phenomenon is that she was bringing colors to women that they said we should not be wearing or we could not wear. Now it's no thing,
mm,
you know. Um, so I think it's important that whatever you're doing, it it's your style. It feels well to you. You feel good. You're comfortable in it. Like you can't be like, I'm gonna wear this bold red lipstick and then go out trying to hide. Like you have to,
yeah,
it's like whatever you're gonna
you
do,
gotta
be
own it.
confident. Yes, you
You
gotta
gotta
own it. Like
if
whatever
you're
you're gonna
gonna wear
do.
that, if you're gonna dye your beard, and if you're gonna wear the little bitty dress, you gotta walk in like I
Yeah,
own this.
like I mean, it's just
And that
like
actually makes people, now I want to say feel comfortable with it, but it makes your boldness makes people say, well, you know what, that does look good on her though.
yeah.
And I wouldn't do, but that looks good. Anyway, we have
Yeah.
a minute or two.
Oh
Um,
wow, we didn't even get to the whole thing.
Pretty much. I mean, just the last little bit, or we talk about and I'll just mention this very quickly, the average lifespan for a black woman is
Well,
80.
but before you get to that, because we didn't talk about the medical checkup stuff.
Okay, well, let's talk about the medical checkup
So,
stuff.
because I really wanted to touch on the fact that I think for us, meaning black folks, like that's always the thing. Like we talk a lot about people that either do it or they don't do it, do your medical checkups or whatever. I think I really would like us to really begin to look at that more holistically,
Meaning what?
meaning that you're not just talking about your physical body, you're talking about your mental health, your
Uh,
social, your social health, your
what
emotional
is
health.
social health?
Social health, like who you're around, what do you allow in your sphere? Like not talking about at work, but like, one of the things for me, as I've gotten older, I'm a pretty positive person.
Hmm.
So now socially, if I know it's going to be a bunch of ratchet messiness, I'm not coming. Where before I would have felt like the need to, well, okay, I need to show my face. I really don't have to. Like if it disturbs my peace, I'm not doing it.
So do
Like,
you also consider, like you said, social? Do you consider people you hang around, or, you know, like if there's a friend or a group of friends that you're like, you know what, I can't with y'all. Do you just stop hanging
yes.
out with them?
Yes, I will. Like, I mean, for me, I'm depending on the level of friendship, I might say, hey, can we not do X, Y, and Z? Or, you know, typical introvert question when you get invited somewhere, okay, who's going to be there? Because again, for me, I can't allow anybody to disturb my peace. Um,
So, someone mentioned this to me this week, saying that she got to, like, let's say that event started at, 6 p.m.
mhm,
She'll get there at 6 so she can leave by the time people are coming. And I was like,
mhm.
"Okay, that's a way of doing it also. If people just aren't your thing."
Yeah, I mean, you know, one of the things for me, like, people always, as we were growing up, they would say, oh, she's so shy. I'm really not shy. But I also know that people can be exhausting for
People
me.
are exhausting.
So, how do I be social and also keep my peace? So, yeah, I don't even at work. I'm not listening to a whole bunch of, I don't really want to hear about who did what and whatever. Like even my staff, when they come, like, okay, you can vent. I can listen to your venting, but we're not going to go into a whole bunch of personal stuff about your coworkers or your peers or your support. Like, well, I'm not doing that mainly because that disturbs my peace.
Yeah.
Like I just, so I think, and then stress. One of the things, I mean, I kind of talked a little bit about like, my health thing, but at the time that I received that cancer diagnosis, I was doing everything right in my
Mhm.
mind. I was doing everything right. What I realized though, immediately is the stress in my life was so pervasive. And, it's this need. And I know that Black men feel it, but Black women totally feel it. It's this, like you're always on. You always gotta do. You always, like it's for your family, it's for work. Like we're always doing stuff. And we don't let go because we can't let anybody down. We have to do this. Somebody dropped the ball. We're gonna go pick it up and finish the run. Like it's always, and once I got that diagnosis, all of a sudden everything that mattered to me did. And I realized I was carrying a lot of stress. So for me, just even like when you talk about the checkups, just like all of it, we have to take it all into account because it's having an effect on our health.
And just speaking, and I'm not speaking for all men, but just maybe men I know. I think men who have some sort of chronic illness, like diabetes or
Yeah,
something, they're the ones who pay attention to their checkups. They go. Other people, you're like, have you been to the doctor? What did the doctor say? Like, oh, I haven't been. Maybe you should go to the doctor and find out, Now, I'm a person who believes that you need a doctor is nothing more, no disrespect to medical doctors, but nothing more than a mechanic. You got to tell them what's going on
that's
so
correct.
that they can provide you with various options that might work for you.
Hmm.
You can take your car in and say, I don't know, it just stopped. the mechanic's gonna,
Yeah,
try to take the car apart. The doctor's the same way. So you gotta at least, have a working relationship with your doctor so
right.
that you can say, hey, here's what I'm feeling. Here's what my body's feeling. Here's what I'm feeling mentally. Here's what's going on here. So
Yeah.
that they can put all of that together
Hmm.
to say, okay, well, it sounds like you need this or you need this. Let's try that. And you'll hear doctors say, well, let's try this.
And we have to be okay with them saying that
Yeah,
because it's a science. It's not exact.
right,
It's a science. Like they're trying to figure out what's right for your body, what's
right.
right for you, for your mentality. Like, so just like with the doctors, I feel the same way about therapy. Like, you went to the therapist and you're saying it didn't work. Did what you know, did you let the therapist know like exactly what's going on with you, how you've been feeling? How is that impacting your physical health? You know, did you let them know that you can't sleep? You
Right.
know, and
Or do
all the
you know
stuff
that you
going on.
can't sleep?
Mhm.
That I think I'm amazed at the number of people who can't sleep. I believe in a firm 7 to 8 hours a night, which I just got back into during the pandemic, and I just started feeling so much better.
Well,
Like I woke up in the morning, versus having a 4 hour, 5 hour, which is what I was getting before.
I mean, in transparency, I struggle with sleep. There have been times when the doctor had to put me on sleeping pills, or I took something over the counter. But now I'm more in tune with my body. So if I'm not sleeping, I know that something else is going on,
Mhm.
and so I have to
Yeah.
address the something else. Whereas, and just even that, I think hopefully as you get older, or at least I can say for myself, as I get older, I am listening to what my body is telling me because I think started off with the fact that our bodies were created really to heal itself. If
Mhm.
it doesn't do that, that means something is off.
Right.
And so just listening to those things like, yes, take the medication if you need it, an ice bath, go walk, go walk. And I like to go walking outside. I do it inside, but walking outside really helps me to have mental clarity because you're outside breathing the nice fresh air, all of that,
You
just,
know, we're gonna have to do an episode about meditation and all of that.
oh yeah.
Maybe we can bring someone in. I don't meditate normally. I have been doing yoga, which is a brutal, brutal exercise, if you ask me. I'm just like, oh my God, I'm about to pass out. Um, so maybe we can get someone to come in and talk us through, what that means. As we close out, I was going to say the average lifespan for Black women is age 80. The average lifespan for Black men is age 67. Um, and we'll talk in another episode about, men marrying young women. Like, dude, they're gonna be widowed soon. You know what I mean? Anyway, but knowing that information, how do you go about just making sure you're living throughout your life's purpose?
I mean, so you kind of, so for me, that's where I'm like really trying to be more intentional about like there are things that I've been putting off and I didn't do. Like I just finished the certification that I had been wanting to do. There's another one that I want to do. Um, I'm like I'm looking forward to retirement, but in a different way. Like there's some things that I've been wanting to do for a long time. Um, that I really haven't taken the steps to make the things happen. Like it's, in my head, or I'm starting to write some things down. Just I really want to be intentional. And again, that's like, taking care of my health, but also thinking about like my financial health too. And, what I want to see out of my life. I still have some time left, but I also think about like physically, my I have an only child. Like I don't have a whole bunch of kids that's going to be able to take care of me, you know, as I'm getting older or if I get incapacitated and all of that. So I need to be as healthy as possible for a very long time, and that's my intention.
Okay. On that note, we are going to wrap it up for today. Season 2, episode 1, The Blacks from Washburn. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.